Hi everyone, and welcome to this history revision video focusing on the final years of Henry VIII's reign. Just a little side note, in 1538 Henry was officially excommunicated from the Catholic Church. Now that just means that he was broken up with them and was pretty much just dead to the Catholic Church. Now in 1542, Henry had the idea of invading Scotland because he wanted to officially break up the old alliance, which was the Scottish and French alliance. The only notable battle was a little thing at Solway Moss, but overall it was a big failure, nothing was achieved, and all it did was strengthen Scotland's reliance on France. After the failure with Scotland, Henry had the bright idea of invading France in 1543. This was actually kind of successful. He managed to secure an annual French pension of £35,000. They captured Boulogne, but in order to fund this war, he had to debase the coinage, raise taxes, and borrow money. This meant that whoever inherited the crown after Henry was inheriting a terrible economic situation. Debasing the coins is basically when you take the gold or silver out of the coin so they are actually worth less, but you still say they're the same amount of money. So overall, each currency is worth less. From the failed wars with Scotland and France at the end of Henry's reign, it's clear that he was trying to cling to that idea he'd so wanted when he first became king. He wanted to be a warrior king who fought with glory in battle, and these were his last attempts at doing that, which shows the priorities of him as a king. All he wanted was war and glory and battles. The factions were also heating up by the end of Henry's reign, as they knew that whoever controlled Henry when he was dying would control the future of the throne. Henry had manipulated factions throughout his reign for his gain. He used Cromwell till he was no longer useful, he used Cranmer despite being Protestant, and he even executed the Earl of Surrey simply because he had posed for a painting with royal arms in the background, so Henry interpreted that as he was trying to steal the throne from him. So basically, as Henry was becoming ill, all of the high-ranking nobles were fighting to become his number one. There's evidence to suggest that Henry regretted a lot of the religious changes he'd implemented, and also the multiple failed invasions. As it became more and more apparent that Henry VIII was dying, it became a much bigger question about who would succeed him. The 1534 Act of Succession had excluded Mary from ever being queen, so this meant that he had the choice between Elizabeth or Edward. Now he obviously chose Edward as he was a boy. Edward was born in 1537, so he was only 10 years old when Henry VIII died. This meant that a regency council would be needed to sort of act as a king for Edward until he was 16 years old. Henry had wanted a mixed council of Catholics and Protestants so that England could try and be stable, but this obviously was never going to happen, and in 1547 Henry died and Edward became king.